No, that is not a clickbait thumbnail. I recently started a course of hormone treatment and I am already seeing negative side effects. We're going to get into it today. Let's go. What's up, motivators? Welcome back. It's Kevin. This is Pure Bull Fit, and today we're going to be talking about the very real cost, the side effects that come along with switching over to the dark side, or in my case, the beige side. You know what I mean. For those of you who are just coming back to the channel, who've been away for a while, don't know what's going on, let me catch you up.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
So recently, my wife and I decided that we wanted to have a baby. But in order to do so, I was going to need to go onto a fertility medication called Clomid because my swimmers, they're not very strong. See, the problem is back in 2020, I suffered a massive groin injury while I was trying to help our roofers put a new roof on our house. It split open my abdomen to such a degree that I got a very large hernia, which ended up strangling off the circulation to my testes, and it dropped my testosterone level down to 176 NGL. Now, that was problematic because it led to things like increased suicidal ideation because I already suffer from PTSD and depression. It exacerbated all of that. My energy went down. My body composition went to complete shit. It's not what I wanted out of life. And as soon as it was identified, we went on a 3-year journey to get my testosterone back to normal levels naturally, through sleep, through what I ate, and through exercise. Now, we did a really good job. We went from 176 to 315, which is still the low end of normal, but I was inside normal, damn it. However, that hasn't been enough for us to successfully be able to make a baby. So that brings us to today, where, prescribed through a doctor, I am taking Clomid at about 25 milligrams a day in order to try and boost my testosterone and the strength of my swimmers so that we can maybe have a good chance at having a baby. This is a hard decision that we talked about a lot, and this is where we are with it. And that brings us to today, where I am currently technically not natty. I also cannot compete ethically in powerlifting competitions that are tested. I know it would be really easy to get away with it and shit like that, but that's just, it's not what I want to do, so I'll have to find alternatives to compete, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just where we are today.
Okay, so now that you're caught up, let's talk real talk. Because even a low dose of something like Clomid can have almost immediate negative effects. There has been one positive indicator, and I want to talk about that real quick. As you'll see right here, that number, 551, is well within the normal range for testosterone. So I have been taking Clomid for approximately 2 months, and it's working. That was the first huge obstacle that we were worried about. I was terrified that I was going to bar myself from competition for having used this stuff for 3 years in the USAPL, and it just wasn't going to work, right? That was the biggest fear that I had, but it does. So we have a shot. 551 is great. I have not seen a significant increase in my strength, my training, my body composition. As a matter of fact, one of the first negative side effects at first was a lot of bloating. I went from having cut down from 282 pounds to about 273. I was making slow, great progress, exactly how I wanted to, and then I started this medication. I immediately blimped back up to 281 pounds. It was majority water weight. That was the first difficulty. It really slowed me down, and I have spent the last 6 weeks working back down from that lost ground to about 270 to 271, depending on the day. This right here was the best scale reading that I've had thus far. So I'm not into the 260s yet, certainly not consistently, but I think that that's actually in the near future. That is the first and most mild of all of the side effects that I've experienced thus far. And it's been largely good, except that I got my blood work back. My blood work, which I think that you should be on top of, particularly if you plan to take anything exogenous whatsoever, you need to be on top of your blood work. There were 2 primary readings that came back, 2 blood markers that I was very concerned about. First is my creatinine levels, which is 1.46 out of a range of 0.5 to 1.5. For me, especially since I only have one functioning kidney thanks to a heat injury in the Marine Corps, almost losing both of them as a result, I have to be very careful about what I put in my body before, no matter how much I've wanted to be bigger, leaner, all of it, even if it was on my mind, and I think everybody is a little bit tempted here and there, just because of my kidney health. It's just something I could never consider. And this right here is proof of that, because my normal readings are around like 0.9, 0.8, 1. For it to be 1.46, just below the threshold where we start to get concerned, was very concerning for me. In addition to that, my EGFR, which is kind of a rating for how well your kidney is functioning, how well it's processing things through it like a filter, is well below what it's supposed to be. In fact, it is borderline for an indicator for the onset of chronic kidney disease. I've only got the one. This is a huge concern. Now, this is 2 months on a prescribed medication at its lowest dose. And that is how fast you can start experiencing negative side effects. I have increased testosterone. It's about 250 points, and that's awesome. I have slightly increased energy and a little bit more get up and go. My head is a little tiny bit clearer, but a couple of 100 points isn't necessarily enough to make a big difference in performance. If you look at my performance, it's kind of the same, if a little bit behind where I was at when I was completely natural in November of last year when I competed last in the USAPL. Then I could bench press about 392 pounds, but right here, I'm kind of struggling to push 365 for the top portion of that rep. It's still within range, and I'm sure that if I trained really hard, I could get right back up there. But largely, my strength is in the same kind of area. I'm still able to pull fairly easy, about 500 pounds. And I can still squat, well into the 400s, perhaps even the 500s, even though that's not really the focus of my training right now. I'm not training for powerlifting competition because currently I can't compete tested, which is the way that I would prefer to. But these negative side effects, they're very serious. Now, there are really three things that I could do about these concerning numbers. The first is I could do what so many other people do who even bother to get their blood work done. I could ignore them and continue doing the thing that I want to. The consequences be damned. But since this entire community is about living a long, high-quality life, I'm not going to do that. The second thing that I could do is I could stop taking the medication altogether, but my time window for my wife and I having a baby is very small, and I don't think that that's the answer right now. If my numbers continue to decline, regardless of the things I'm going to do in option 3, then yes, at that point, I absolutely will stop taking the medication. But it's option 3 that we're going to try first. Because in addition to taking this medication, there are other things that I am doing that negatively affect the creatinine levels and possibly even the eGFR. For instance, I have been consuming straight salt right before workouts for the increased pump to see if it helped me get through harder workouts with more volume and more intensity, and it has. But sodium is one of the things that can affect your kidney function, your blood pressure, and a number of other things. And I have been getting a lot of sodium. I also eat whatever the hell I want, or I have been until recently when I got these results. So I would eat a lot of fried foods and other things that can exacerbate your creatinine levels. So by scaling back on that, adopting a low sodium diet, I'm going to positively affect my creatinine levels and give my kidneys less things to function. In addition to that, I had been for the last couple of years and managing it quite well, taking 10 grams a day, 8 to 10 grams of creatine. That also directly affects creatinine levels in your kidneys. So I can't do that anymore. And I have reduced all the way down to the minimum recommended dose of 3 grams a day. And if that has a positive effect, I'm going to let you guys know. So there's steps that we can take to mitigate these without resorting to additional medications and things like that to mask the problem so that we can take the substance that we want to. And the reason that I wanted to talk to you guys about this is because something this simple, the lowest recommended dose for a prescribed medication for fertility that has an effect on testosterone levels can damage your kidneys. You might be lucky. You might be one of the few genetically resistant individuals, but you've got no guarantee. And that's a lot of my problem with the way that people approach this. The gym that I go to, easily half of the young people 24 and under that are training are taking something. SARMs, exogenous testosterone, something. They're open about it. We talk about it. I try and guide them away from it, but most of them are going to do what they want to do. Not one of them is getting their blood work done. When I ask them, hey man, well, have you checked your blood work? How is it? Their answer is either no or a completely shady, well, and we all know what that means. And a lot of the problem is we have all of these 18, 19, 20-year-old broccoli-haired kids that are singing the virtues of putting into your body whatever you want and glorifying PEDs, not just medications that you can get through an actual doctor, but going through these different labs like research chems and all of that crap. And they are completely oblivious, blind to ignoring or misleading you about the potential side effects that you aren't even checking for when you're putting this crap in your body because you are so impatient. And you look at them with the physiques that you feel like you want, and you're convinced that you also have to take these things in order to reach that level, and they're telling you what works and what doesn't. I got news for you. They don't know what works. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They couldn't find their ass with 2 hands and a roadmap. They don't know what works because they have so much junk in their system. Everything they do works. How are you supposed to know how to advise someone? How are you going to sell a program? How are you going to sell a diet when you're relying on exogenous chemicals to make all of the progress that you have, when you haven't bothered to get an education, whether it's formal or informal, when you haven't bothered to do any of the work? How are you going to be out there irresponsibly convincing other kids to use your stupid affiliate code so that you can make a buck off of their health for your profit? And if you are you've just decided you're going to do it, you're not going to listen to anybody, please get your blood work done. So that way you can see what's happening and have it done in intervals. Look, watch what is happening to your liver, what is happening to your kidneys. You may not be able to see over the short term what's happening to your heart, but it's well documented what happens to your heart. And I know some of you folks out there are going to feel like, well, why are you bothering to even say this at all? People are just going to do what they're going to do. Why do you care? Because this is a community, and we learn what's dangerous and what's not in a civilization together. We learn from the mistakes that we make and the mistakes that others make. And we warn the community against the things that will harm them. And that is how we prosper. That is how we advance. That is how we become better. Why? Because it's the right damn thing to do. Okay? So don't get in your high horse about, freedom of choice. I'm not making anyone's choice for them. I'm trying to plant a seed of common sense. I'm trying to give some information in the hopes that it will sprout into resistance of the idea that you need this stuff in order to get where you're going. I have done quite well for somebody who did not start strength training until after I was disabled, until I was 35 years old, until I was already washed up and approaching the top of the hill that I am now careening down the other side of at 45. I'm still stronger than 99% of the population. And the only reason that I have engaged in hormone therapy at all is because my wife and I would really like to have a child together. And if that works out, great. It will have been worth it. If it doesn't, then it won't have. I will have put my kidneys at risk for nothing. That's a sobering thought. The dangers of using exogenous hormones, specifically the ones that are not coming as prescribed from your doctor, are well documented. The information is out there. We've got everybody really talking about it. You can go to guys like Jeff Nippert. He has a great video on it recently. You can listen to one of the OGs with the biggest platforms like AthleanX talking about how people should avoid this stuff. Hell, even Greg Doucette over the last few years has really turned on a dime and has been proselytizing and really getting the word out that you should be avoiding doing this stuff. And I think those massive voices talking about this are really important. And just because my voice is much, much smaller, even if it is way silkier, smoother, deeper, I'm repeatedly told I should do voiceover work, maybe audiobooks, maybe ASMR, as we talk about working out. Even though my voice is smaller than theirs, I still have a responsibility as someone who has experience, somebody who knows, somebody who is currently experiencing negative side effects from even a mild dose, to share that experience with you and lead by example. Please be careful in the choices that you make. What we are seeing right now is a swing of the pendulum in the opposite direction. A few years ago, we lost a lot of really big names really, really young. 25, 26, 27-year-old kids were dropping left and right from PED use related heart conditions and things like that. Now we are seeing a swing in the opposite direction where people like throw caution to the wind. They're talking very openly about what they use. We've got Larry Wheels not that long ago saying the younger you start, the better. That's not me putting words into his mouth.
Whether it's drugs, training, nutrition, the best time to do it is while you're young, and the younger the better.
Even that man has recently seen the error of his ways, and he's trying to fix himself, and hopefully people follow suit. People are going to make the choices that they wanted to make. As long as they are informed choices, make them. But please, don't pretend that you're actually on top of your health or that you have seriously been keeping track of it if you're not even bothering to do blood work and you're putting this stuff in your body. If you wait until you feel something wrong, then you have waited too late to prevent something bad from happening. All right, guys, that's it. That's the video for today. If you liked it, they got a button for that. If you didn't like it, they got a button for that too. Either way, I am looking forward to hearing about it in the comment section below. Please understand that this is a sincere call for you to do the right thing for you in the interest of your longevity and your quality of life. I care about you guys. I care about this community. You having been here over all these years, even when I was barely here, has meant the world to me. I love you, and I want to keep you around. So please, make decisions conducive with that. So until I see you guys in the next video, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and find a little time to go fit yourself.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle.
Bye-bye.